If you've studied English for years, but continue to struggle to be understood and to understand native speakers, you may have reached that point of, why should I bother trying to reach English fluency? Our answer?
Because. What's up guys, and welcome back to White Wall Friends English. Today we're going to try to convince you to strive for English fluency. If at the end of this video you feel determined to do so, then we will have a chance for you guys to learn how to do this more efficiently.
First, let's talk about reasons you should not strive for English fluency.
Fluency takes a lot of time and energy and even money to reach. That's materials, that's the cost to find tutors.
That's the time spent trying to find the resources and evaluating those resources to make sure they're the right ones. It's a lot of work. Lots of foreigners live in America and they're not fluent and they live just fine.
Yeah, they can operate, they can go to the store, they can do their job.
And when you're in a pinch, Google Translate's pretty nifty.
Americans don't speak English like a textbook, so all that work, all those materials ends up being not as useful because Americans, we break English all the time. So if you are striving for fluency and you're waist deep in those textbooks, it's so easy to get burned out and to learn what the point is, to be confused by all the grammar and the vocabulary that you just basically give up.
Now let's list some of the reasons why you should strive for English fluency. The first one is that the investment often pays itself off pretty quickly. It pays itself off in time and comfort and convenience, and sometimes even financially. If you work in an English-speaking job where you have to regularly communicate and be understood, then it pays itself off pretty quickly.
You also don't have to take the extra steps in order to make yourself be understood.
Like you don't have to pull out your phone and translate right there, right in front of somebody, which to an American is very rude. It's understandable, but it's kind of rude to be on your phone. The second reason is that you don't have to rely on others to make it through some more difficult life requirements of living in a country or living abroad. For example, when we lived abroad, we would have to ask somebody to help us whenever we had to upgrading a phone plan, like getting a new phone line, trying to figure out where to put package returns and how to fill out that label in order to do the package returns, translating letters that seemed like they were kind of official and important for us. We had to learn how to get instructions to do more official things like how to fill out the health body checks and stuff like that. Like there were so many things that were difficult for us to understand, even though we could get around just fine with speaking and doing daily things. But these random occurrences that happened, not daily, but they definitely happened monthly. We always had to ask for help.
So instead of always calling people for help, the more you strive for fluency, you can actually be that one to help. If you have friends over from your home country and they're here or they're in an English-speaking country, they likely will need that help. They will need that translator. They will need that person that goes with them to the hospital. Yeah. And part of being fluent is that you can be that person. You can be a bridge between two cultures.
The third reason is that if you really want to understand a language, you have to dig into the culture and the history and the attitudes of the people toward different things. You've got to be invested in current events. And that is something that's just a joyful journey to take. Yes, there are ups and downs like everything in life, but it is really, really cool to be able to connect with people around the world in that way. And you only really get that when you're investing the time and energy into learning how to communicate with these people and connect with them where they are at. As a fluent English speaker, you will still make mistakes. Native English speakers make mistakes. The thing is, though, is you are going to have the tools and the memory hooks in your mind to be able to connect the correction that you just received, or understanding that, oh, that didn't come across quite right. You can ask your friend real quick, hey, how do I say this more naturally? When they tell you, you have the memory hooks in order to be able to be like, oh, okay, I've got it. It's not like you have to put it on a flashcard and go back and memorize it again and again. It just doesn't work very well. If you have the memory hooks, you'll be able to take that and be fixing a habit rather than trying to learn a language. And that is just massive. It's just huge when you get to that point.
So should you bother to try to reach English fluency? Well, ultimately, that's for you to decide in your unique situation.
However, if you decide that you want to strive for English fluency, click the link in the description below to sign up for a webinar we are hosting to call the 3 Principles to Reach English Fluency in Less than an Hour a Day.
In it, we are going to share 3 principles with you guys to cut down your study time, make it more efficient, and help you see results faster.
And if you end up attending, you'll also receive a free tool to help you study better right away. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, go to the description, click the link below, sign up, and we will see you next week.
All right, guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.